moserit.com/theticket. That's moserit.com/THETICKET to learn more.
What does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. I'm Ryan Buck, your Lincoln, Nebraska, Edward Jones financial advisor. Count on me for your financial strategies that can help support a life you love. Because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. Contact me today at 402-483-0377. Again, that's 402-483-0377. And let's find you rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left at once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
At LES, safety always comes first for you and their employees. This National Safety Month, visit les.com/safety for easy tips to stay safe around electricity at home and at work.
You started your business to build something special. Now it's time to grow and protect it. At Pinnacle Bank, our treasury management services help you do just that. Through smarter payment technology, account administration, and fraud protection. So no matter the size of your business, you can get the most out of your financial operations. Request your free consultation at pinbank.com/consult. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC.
Lincoln is full of great golf courses in a state that is getting national recognition for exceptional golf. Friend Country Club is worth the drive, just 40 minutes from Lincoln and home to one of the state's most respected 9-hole courses. Enjoy their restaurant with popular items like a 14-ounce ribeye, 10-ounce sirloin, or chicken fried steak. Open Thursday through Saturday from 5:30 to 10 p.m. Expand your horizons with a trip to Friend Country Club, just 40 minutes southwest of Lincoln. It's worth a visit.
At DWE Generations, having a plan matters, especially when it comes to protecting what's most important. They work with individuals, families, and business owners to help make smart financial decisions that support life today and set the foundation for generations. David Darlington, Russell Walton, and Cody Eiler bring decades of experience, and their dedicated team provides follow-through, answering questions, explaining next steps, and staying connected as life evolves. DWE Generations, a generational wealth planning firm. DWE Generations is a marketing name for individuals doing business as representatives of Northwestern Mutual. Visit generations.nm.com or call 402-483-7871 and ask for David, Russell, or Cody.
Noticing more dust at home? It may be time for duct cleaning from Bryant. Breathe easy and healthy. Call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
It's been a busy day in sports. A lot has happened while you were up to your eyeballs in work. Catch up on what went down in Nebraska athletics, college sports, and your favorite pro sports leagues. This is Late Night in Lincoln, live on 93.7 The Ticket. Sponsored by Canopy Street Market. Here is your host, Nick Whyman.
Happy Monday, happy Monday, happy Monday. Nick Whyman holding it down here for one more hour on this first day of the work week. 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. June 15th, 2026. As always, Late Night Lincoln, Nick Whyman holding it down at 1040 O Street. As we get into the show today, there's a lot to talk about. Last time we chatted here during this hour, from 11 to the midnight hour Central Time here in the capital city, we were talking about the USA team playing in the FIFA World Cup, and that happened on Friday. Captured the attention of a lot of the sports world, what they were able to do. The College World Series is in full swing. We've already got teams being eliminated, teams starting 2-0. One of those being the Oklahoma Sooners, who are playing red hot across the board. We'll obviously talk about those as the show progresses. The Kansas City Royals, on the Royals recap, Royals start the homestand with a win, but they end it with a win. Okay, that sounds good. However, in the middle there, the middle part of that story, all losses across the board. Some of those heartbreakers, extra innings, some of those late comebacks after giving up 9 runs in the top of the first inning. The Royals are on the road playing the Washington Nationals over the next 3 days. Started that series today with another loss to Washington in that one. So we'll talk about the Royals later in the show. We'll talk about the College World Series, both those diamond sports intertwined together as Major League Baseball continues to be in full swing. College World Series continues to truck on as we're inching closer to the championship series, that best 2 out of 3 series later on this week. But a couple of interesting games across the board that we were able to see. Not just today, saw some history with the Texas Longhorns. Hit for the cycle in that one in a dominant fashion win, and then Oklahoma. And we'll recap and set the stage for tomorrow's games as well, as we'll be live out there at Blur Events tailgate out there in Omaha. Anything from 11 a.m. with one-on-one, Adam Carricker show, Bach on the black shirt, all the way to old school, and then right back here at the 6 o'clock hour to bring you the ticket weeknight slate across the board. So we'd love to come chat. 402-464-5685, the Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. Again, that's 402-464-5685. You'd also join the conversation and be a part of this hour of the show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Allo Channel 961. Listen over the dial, or you can listen for free on the Ticket app. Anywhere you get your apps on your mobile device, search the Ticket, and it should pop up. So we'll talk, obviously, FIFA World Cup later. We'll talk about the college baseball, College World Series going on, the Royals as well. But some champions were crowned since the last time we talked. 2 champions in 2 different leagues. First, the Carolina Hurricanes. Caleb Smith was a big, he's from that area. He was talking about him. He wasn't here today. Obviously, he has some things to handle. But the Carolina Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup final 3-0 on Sunday, shutting out the Vegas Golden Knights. Jordan Staal winning the most valuable player of that one of the oldest to ever do it. Obviously, a former Pittsburgh Penguin in his own right, going over to Carolina. And the Carolina Hurricanes host the Stanley Cup. And, a really good team all year. The Carolina Hurricanes are a team that's been kind of knocking on that door for quite some time. And first championship since 2006 for them as well. They were kind of a team that, just was always in the playoffs, but they could just never win that series. They just never could get upset, or they run into another team in the Eastern Conference. But this is the year for them as whole. And Jordan Staal gets to raise the Stanley Cup for Carolina. Makes history as the oldest, Conn Smythe winner as well. And the Carolina Hurricanes, that was a team that is, like I said, knocking at the door, kind of been on that opportunity for a while. Vegas Golden Knights, it's ironic the trophy gets held there because the trophy has been raised there in recent memory as well. But this time, Vegas, it's the opposite way, where it's raised by the visitors in that arena with the Carolina Hurricanes hosting that trophy. So that's how the hockey season wraps up. It was a very eventful NHL season. We'll talk about the NBA here in a matter of moments, but the hockey season, for many reasons, we start at the beginning of the year. Season starts. You have a newer squad. Utah Mammoth get their new name. They were the Utah Hockey Club the year before. Then you go through. You play a lot of matches in between. You play the outdoor series. You have an Olympic break in there as well because the NHL players play in the Olympics for obvious reasons. That USA Canada match we talked about way back during February before the Super Bowl, where that happened, where the United States took down Canada in overtime with a game-winning goal. All the way into the playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, you see upsets, you see overtime victories, you see long games go on, stretch on for multiple overtimes across the board. And in the end, the Carolina Hurricanes end up raising the Stanley Cup trophy, which I think is maybe the best-looking trophy in sports. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think the best-looking sports trophy is? I know the FIFA World Cup trophy is pretty sick. Larry O'Brien's pretty cool, but I think the Stanley Cup is just so it's a giant trophy, and I think that's what makes the Stanley Cup just look so cool. And when teams raise it, you just kind of have the other like when the legends get to raise the Stanley Cup. I remember when Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals won it in the late 2000s, and Alex Ovechkin finally got that Stanley Cup championship to his name. That image of him holding that trophy is so historic, and I think that's what makes that trophy it's just a good-looking trophy. Like, anybody who holds it, nobody looks bad holding the Stanley Cup. And that's why that playoff race is always so cool, because you're going for that huge title. Like, is it overly huge? Yes, but I think it's a really cool looking trophy in itself. So the Carolina Hurricanes shut out the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0 over the weekend to win the Stanley Cup for the first time since 2006. 2006, that was not the year the New York Knicks last won an NBA title, but the New York Knicks win the NBA championship with a 94-90 win over the San Antonio Spurs. Another come-from-behind win. Feels like kind of the moral of the series in itself. But the first time in over 50 years, the New York Knicks have won an NBA championship. And this is coming off the back of a historic game last Wednesday when the Knicks were down 29 points midway through the third quarter. And were able to rally and win that game, in a game that I'm going to have to go back and watch, because seeing it in real time in this chair and seeing the Knicks kind of chip away at a 29-point deficit in the second half, which ended up being the largest comeback in NBA Finals history, just undescribable. And the way they did it with the OG Anunoby tip in, and then you get all momentum going back to San Antonio. A lot of Knicks fans were in the house on Saturday in San Antonio for that game. And this is another game where Knicks come out sluggish. They go down double digits in the first quarter. It was 23-13 in favor of the San Antonio Spurs. Knicks team playing from behind. That's kind of the moral of the story of this entire series. Knicks are down, kind of chipping away toward the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden the Spurs go on a drought, 10-0 run for the Knicks, and all of a sudden the Knicks, they got a lead with under 5 minutes to play, and it's a low-scoring game for today's age of NBA, where neither team hits 100 points. But in the end, the New York Knicks end up prevailing, outscoring the Spurs 29-18 in the fourth period, which erases that early deficit 94-90. Karl-Anthony Towns didn't have a good game. I think he had a good series. Good playoff run for him as well. Only 2 points in that, had foul trouble, ends up fouling out in that one of 7 from the floor. But we talked about the depth of the New York Knicks and what they were able to add with guys like Landry Shamet stepping up in big time, Jose Alvarado. Those guys end up scoring not as much as they expected in that final game of the series. Landry Shamet 5 points, Jose Alvarado with nothing. But the way those guys stepped up when needed, whether that be game one, anywhere from game 1 to game 5, the Knicks had somebody who stepped up in the clutch. Whether that be Landry Shamet scoring double figures in game 1, whether that be OG Anunoby getting maybe 4 fingers on a ball to tip it in the basket, whether that be Jalen Brunson scoring 45 in game 5. 45 points in a game-clinching game for the New York Knicks. And the Knicks fans are still dancing the street till right now, as we speak, probably, just because of what they were able to do across the board and win a championship for New York. A fan base that has been starving for success. We talked about last week what this New York Knicks team has been through. You had Bernard King. You had anything from there. Then you end up having the Patrick Ewing coming in. 99, gets hurt, doesn't get it. The Spurs get the last laugh, win the NBA Finals there. Then you have some dark ages of the franchise where winning 25 games, 30 games was hard to do. Going through multiple coaches. You had the Phil Jackson era. You had Carmelo Anthony, brought some life back in him with J.R. Smith and company on that roster, but always ran into somebody in the playoffs and couldn't get it done. After that, Carmelo Anthony's gone, goes to a different team. There was a lineup I saw on social media. It was like Langston Galloway and Lexi Chavez. Those were Cle Anthony early. Those guys were starting games for the New York Knicks about 10 years ago. Less than 10 years ago, almost. They've come a long way. Alexi Chavez mentioned. After that, they get a top pick. They draft Kristaps Porzingis, a pick that New York fans didn't really like across the board. I'm not saying everybody didn't like it, but majority. Porzingis does well his rookie year, and a couple years later, he's traded to the Dallas Mavericks. And then the Knicks are kind of back to square one. They do bring in guys who we see now with Jalen Brunson. They make a trade for Mikal Bridges from just down the road in Brooklyn with the Brooklyn Nets. have Julius Randle on their roster already, getting him from the Lakers. Get to the playoffs for the first time in a long time in 2021, but run to a guy named Trae Young and end up getting bounced in the first round of that playoffs. Is that the Knicks' peak? The Knicks continue to make the playoffs 365 days or 365 days plus ago. They play the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Tyrese Halliburton gives flashbacks to that fan base saying Reggie Miller hit some tough shots in the Garden. After that happens, they get rid of Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau leaves. They get rid of him in an interesting move because your team that's in the Eastern Conference Finals, they get rid of him. They bring in Mike Brown, an experienced coach, all the way back to his Cleveland days. It was on the Warriors staff during their era of dominance in the 2010s. And now you get one of the playoff runs that Knicks fans and New York sports fans are going to have for a very long time across the board. Because not only did you bounce that Hawks team by dominating them in the first round in that game 6 to win it 4-2, then you get past Philadelphia, then you make quick work of Cleveland, and then you get to the NBA Finals and take on this younger Spurs team, which I think it does play in a role. Like the Spurs team, there's no guarantees you get back to the NBA Finals. It's very tough to do, as we've seen a different champion almost every year since 2019, which we have. There's no guarantee in getting back, but this is a team that has a lot of young potential still, and they were at lack of NBA Finals experience. So did the Knicks. But the Knicks had that kind of playoff experience. This is a Spurs team that made a huge jump from the year before. And I think that does play a huge role, especially what the Spurs are trying to do and put together. Curious where they go from there. The Knicks, they're running it back pretty much with the roster they have in full, with this fan base now really behind them. Only have a couple unrestricted free agents. Mitchell Robinson's one of those guys, alongside Jose Alvarado and Jeremy Shohan. Those are three of the key ones for their offseason for the roster. But the Knicks have kind of everybody back besides those three who potentially could be back. You still have that core Villanova tandem, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson and company, Josh Hart. Still got Karl-Anthony Towns there, OG Anunoby. And the Knicks did a really good job of constructing that roster together and building kind of that toughness. I think Tom Thibodeau displayed that toughness with this team. I just think they just need another guy to get over that hump. And they ended up doing that with Mike Brown. So you can see the flashes with the Knicks. They were able to install that with Tom Thibodeau, get over the hump with Mike Brown and company, and they end up winning an NBA championship. So this New York fan base, I mentioned starving for championships because the pro titles for New York sports, there's been droughts. The big four, I would say, with that being hockey, baseball, basketball, and football. They've won titles in other sports, but of the core, the big four they mention all the time, New York sports fans have been starving for championships. They've been close to the Yankees. They've had the Mets in 2015, but winning a championship, it's been a while for a lot of these teams. So I have the list of New York sports teams, all of them, and how many years they've had to wait for a championship. So a couple days ago, fresh, the New York Knicks. Drought is over. They win it. Took them 50-plus years, end up winning a championship with the New York Knicks to be the most recent champion in the professional level of the New York City area. In New York as well, a year ago, Gotham FC, that's the NWSL soccer league, the women's soccer league, they won a championship a year ago. So before the New York Knicks won, the last championship team would be Gotham FC in the NWSL. Prior to that, sticking in women's sports, you had the New York Liberty, who won the WNBA Finals 2 years ago. That was the last championship on the hardwood before the New York Knicks, way back when. In soccer, New York City FC, they won the MLS Cup 5 years ago. That'd be in 2021. That was the last time a New York sports team won a soccer championship. Those are all within single digits. But then you have to go back 14 years, the last time the New York Giants won the Lombardi Trophy. That was obviously the second of Eli Manning, with Tom Coughlin leading the New York Giants to a win over the New England Patriots. Kind of deja vu because they did it before against the undefeated New England Patriots a couple of years prior to that in Phoenix, in Glendale, to be exact. But that was the last time a New York football team won the Super Bowl. 17 years would be how many years it's been since the New York Yankees have won the World Series crown. That was the last time the Yankees been there. They've been to the championship a couple of times, been to the ALCS a couple of times, like last year against Toronto, but haven't been able to capture that World Series title for the New York Yankees. Going to hockey, 23 years. That's how many years it's been since the New Jersey Devils have won the Stanley Cup. You go back even farther for the New York Red Bulls, 32 years for them across the board. That goes the same with the New York Rangers of the NHL, another hockey team in the New York, New Jersey area. 32 years for them. The New York Mets, you're going into the 40s. It's been 40 years since the New York Mets have won a World Series crown. It gets even more. The New York Islanders, another hockey team in the New York area, 43 years for them. Then you go back to the other basketball team in the area, which was the New Jersey Nets, moving over to the Brooklyn Nets. They are at 50 years since their last championship. And then the New York Jets are at 57 years since the last time the New York Jets won a championship. So it's been a while for a couple of those. That's why I say this New York fandom is so nuts, because look at what this team was to win a championship. You've had it in the WNBA, you've had it in the NWSL, and you've had it in the MLS in the last 10 years. But since the New York Giants, that'd be of the big four sports, the New York Giants were the last ones to win a championship. And Knicks fans, there's a lot of Knicks fans who are also like other sports. The big four, especially with hockey, is really big in that area. The Yankees and the Mets are huge in that area. And then you Jets and Giants. There's fans who are fans of each of those teams. They've gone through the trenches to see their team win a championship. And now they finally see it with the New York Knicks across the board. So that caps off an NBA season, which was very eventful. Kind of like I mentioned with hockey, putting a cap on that season. You had the Olympic break there. The NBA season, which ironically, you have the NBA Cup for the third year they've been doing that tournament. Ironically, the New York Knicks were the NBA Cup champions, the in-season tournament winners over the San Antonio Spurs. So that in-season tournament ended up being what the NBA Finals was. Hasn't been the case throughout its short tenure of it being a tournament, but there you were able to have it with the New York Knicks winning the NBA crown over the San Antonio Spurs. Not only along with that, the NBA season had a lot of eventful things throughout it. I even go back to Christmas Day is always a fun time because that's when NBA season really starts to pick up. I know the NFL is starting to invade the NBA Christmas slate, but you're still able to have a lot of games. Ironically, I talk about the Spurs and the Knicks being intertwined throughout the entire season. Not only did they play in the in-season tournament, they also played on Christmas Day. No, they did not play on Christmas Day, excuse me, but they did play Christmas Day a couple of years ago, but they also played in the NBA Finals and in the NBA Cup. And I think that's really interesting considering the NBA Cup, kind of what it is. The NBA Cup was kind of, not many people take it too seriously across the board, but it was what the NBA championship ended up being. So to begin next year, 2026, 2027, I don't think it's too early to talk about next year. We still have the draft coming up here in a little bit for the NBA in about a week's time. We have free agency still, which is always interesting. We still have the NBA Summer League to see some of these rookies fit in with their current, where they get drafted to at the end of the day. But before we know it, training camp will be here for the NBA. And then the NBA first games of the season will start being played in October. Opening night. I talked about it with DeMornay. I'd like to see the Knicks and the Spurs on opening night in MSG. Ring night, you can have a rematch. We're having it, obviously, with the NFL season with the Patriots taking on the Seahawks. Either that or have the New York Knicks take on the Boston Celtics at MSG on ring night. I do think the Spurs and Knicks, because they've kind of catched lightning in a bottle with the two teams going at one another and what they've kind of brought to the table. And you can still doing all that. You have, Knicks and Spurs, the ratings were up across the board. Ratings are up across everything just because of the way Nielsen does it. But you can have a rematch. Have the Spurs, a team who was very close to winning a Larry O'Brien trophy once again, but fell short against the Knicks team with the come from behind Knicks. So I'd like to see that be the opening night game of the NBA season. I know the Celtics and Knicks have a little bit of history. They have a lot of history. But I'd like to see the Spurs there while the banner goes up, and then you can have kind of the capture that lightning in the bottle, the Wembanyama versus the Jalen Brunsons, and kind of reminiscent of what we saw in the NBA Finals. Tommy Brown on the YouTube chat said, are you taking callers? Usually don't take any callers in late night because I cannot stream the phone calls during the stream. But if you have any questions, love to hear from you in the chat, 402-464-5685, or leave a comment on our YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter streams, as I can see you're already in YouTube. So Usually don't, just due to the fact we'd have nobody back there to stream the calls, but potentially one day. Usually like to play safe. But yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting. We'll talk about it more on the other side. We will continue it on. We will continue to talk. We'll talk some FIFA World Cup as well. The United States began their World Cup journey with an exclamation point. And there's also been a lot of upsets across the board. If you were able to catch not only Curacao yesterday against Germany, not an upset, but Curacao scoring goal, but then Cape Verde today taking headlines away with Spain as well. We'll talk about more on the other side. Nick Whyman holding it down here, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Late Night Lincoln rolls on, so if you'd love to be part of the conversation, 402-464-5685. We'll be right back. FIFA World Cup. We'll kind of preview the matches ahead for tomorrow, but also look ahead what's happened so far in the tournament, as we've yet to talk about that here on Late Night Lincoln. So the show rolls on the other side. Nick Whyman, 1040 O Street, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rick Heyman here from Sauter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sauter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sauterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Big value and big flavor meet at Wings and Rings thanks to the all-new delicious Duo Combo. This is the one you've been waiting for. Get one half-sized appetizer and 2 entrees with a side for only $19.99. Bring a friend for the best deal in town on any day of the week, during game time, or whenever the heck you want. Their made-to-order wings and chicken sandwiches are waiting for you at their 68th and O and 40th and Old Cheney locations. Stop by Wings and Rings and celebrate every day with the best meal deal in town.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
3, 2, 1. The drop is live. Screens freeze everywhere, except yours. You've been training for this moment. And with Allo Fiber's zero-lag precision, you strike first. No lag, no limits, just speed. Can your internet provider do that? Stay ahead of every drop. Visit allofiber.com/all-in.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Ever look at your house and think, ouch, it's stuck in the past? Or realize that your kitchen needs a new everything? Like thousands of homeowners, you can simply call SprayNet Lincoln. Their patented spray system and paint delivers a flawless factory finish, no mess, done in a day, and cost-effective. It looks just like new, including your vinyl. And it's all backed by their 15-year no-peel warranty. SprayNet Lincoln, custom chemistry and smarter painting. Google SprayNet Lincoln or call them now at 402-383-3336 or email ching@spray-net.com.
Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. Back Nine Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for their members. Whether it's a range session to get accurate club distances, 18 holes with some buddies, or a one-on-one lesson with Back Nine's PGA teaching professional, their top-of-the-line full-swing simulators are there to help you lower your score in perfect conditions. Learn about Back Nine's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Back Nine Golf, the premier indoor golf experience.
Looking for the ultimate game day spot? Arbor Axe House has everything you need. Axe throwing, cold beers, and the big game. Whether you're celebrating a win or talking trash with friends, nothing beats the rush of sticking an axe while cheering on your favorite team. Perfect for bullseye beginners and seasoned pros. Our axe throwing experts keep the fun going and the drinks flowing. Step up to the plate at Arbor Axe House. Book a lane at arbораxe.com or call 402-802-9696. Arbor Axe House on the corner of N Street and Antelope Avenue.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Lincoln is full of great golf courses in a state that is getting national recognition for exceptional golf. Friend Country Club is worth the drive, just 40 minutes from Lincoln and home to one of the state's most respected 9-hole courses. Enjoy their restaurant with popular items like a 14-ounce ribeye, 10-ounce sirloin, or chicken fried steak. Open Thursday through Saturday from 5:30 to 10 p.m. Expand your horizons with a trip to Friend Country Club, just 40 minutes southwest of Lincoln. It's worth a visit.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back to Late Night in Lincoln live on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Nick Whyman.
Just had a first, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Just had a first thing. We had Tommy Brown in chat was just talking about asking if we had callers. He said he was outside the window. He's from out of town. He was looking for food. So he asked if Topper's Pizza was any good. I said, yeah, go for it. So Tommy, shout out to you for listening in. College football background sounds like as well. Played some college football. Tommy, drop me a chat where you played college football at currently because, you're talking about, college football. And I'm curious now as we go on. So hopefully you get your pizza. Hopefully you get some food. Recommended that to you. Enjoy it. Pizza's like I'm not a picky eater, Tommy. So that's the other problem here as well. I'm not a picky eater. So if you enjoy food, go for it as well. So 402-464-5685, Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. Also, you can reach us as like Tommy on YouTube, but also on our Facebook and Twitter streams as well. Or if you're listening on Allo Channel 961, over the Ticket app, or over the dial as always. So helping somebody get some food, helping somebody out. Not what I had in my bingo card here tonight at the Ticket, but life goes on. And life goes on at the FIFA World Cup. We talked about the NBA champions being crowned, the Stanley Cup winners as well. The World Cup, we have a couple of weeks away from crowning that champion in July. But the tournament's kind of been start off to a bang. Like we previewed the tournament last week a lot on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday leading up to that USA match against Paraguay. But Mexico started it with a win, home country in that one. Bosnia ended up tying with Canada as the other host seed. And then the United States started the World Cup with a bang in SoFi for them as well. Yeah. And I mentioned Tommy did play football at the University of Alabama from 2018 to 2021. So he played on some national championship teams. Nick Saban-led teams across the board as well. So, Tommy, hopefully you're enjoying Nebraska in a sense as well. It's a fun time. You get it's a really nice place as well. So, with that, the World Cup rolls on, and United States got a marquee 4-1 win over Paraguay in the first round. The first round of group stage, the United States dominated. I think a lot of people were taken back because of the expectations for the United States. We saw this group, Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, everybody else in between. New goalie Matt Freese in there for Matt Turner was the decision for the first match of group stage. And a lot of people had, I guess, expectations, but they were curious what this United States team is going to have. They haven't done well. They obviously didn't make it to the World Cup in 2018. They made it out of group play in 2020 in Qatar, but clearly are overmatched against Netherlands in the round of 16. And the United States was a team who has, this golden age of soccer is what they like to call it. And didn't really know what to expect seeing Paraguay. They played this team in a friendly in November, this past November, and it was anything but friendly. USA ended up getting a 2-1 win, in that one. It was a close match throughout, but the United States comes into the World Cup on home soil at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles and Inglewood, California, and makes a statement, a 4-1 win over Paraguay. And the United States men's national team kind of took the country and the world by storm. There's no guarantees in this tournament, as we've seen. We'll get into that why. But the United States, I mean, really just made a statement. They scored 3 goals total in the 2022 FIFA World Cup. With that be 4 matches, with that being their match against Iran, with their match against Wales, and their match against England in group play in 2022, alongside that Netherlands match that I mentioned in the round of 16. They scored 3 total goals over the span of those 4 matches. That was in Qatar. 40 years later, first match on home soil for the World Cup since 1994. And the United States puts up 4 goals in their first match. Yes, Paraguay. Everyone's saying, "Oh, they're not an elite team." Well, they did beat Argentina in qualifying. They beat some good teams. Every team in this tournament is good. It's just like March Madness. It's just like, everything in between, every playoff you see. I know it's expanded to 48 nations, and I think it's for the good so far. You see some really good matches across the board. Some countries who have not been there before make a name for themselves. We'll get into that for sure in this segment. But this match, the United States, starts with a bang, goal in the 7th minute, 2 more before the end of the first half, 1 in the 31st, and 1 right before the end of the half. And then Gio Reyna off the bench scores 1 in the 90th plus minute to lay a dagger. And the biggest thing, yes, Paraguay did score a goal to make it 3-1 at one point in the 73rd minute. And in other years with the United States men's national team, you kind of get that worry of, oh, they're going to blow it. They're not going to be able to hold on to that lead because they're not up to standard with the rest. Even when the United States gave up that goal to Paraguay, still felt very confident in the momentum they were able to capture. They had ball control, a lot more shots on goal across the board. This United States team was just kind of different across the board as well. And I know it's just one match. You don't want to get reactionary because you still have to handle business against Australia, and then you still have to cap off group play with Turkey before you worry about the round of 32 and so on and so forth. But I did mention when we talked about our FIFA World Cup preview, this first match for the United States was one of the marquee ones on my mind because a lot of people hear, oh, the United States are playing a soccer game in a football stadium. And if they put on a good performance, a lot of people are going to come back for the next one and then the next one and so on and so forth. They win 4-1, and a lot of people are interested now for Friday at 2:00 when the United States takes on Australia, who also picked up a marquee win, beating Turkey 2-0 in their first group play match. So you have Australia coming off a big win, the United States coming off a marquee win to begin World Cup play in the year 2026. And they're both going to meet one another in the home of the 12th man at Lumen Field on Friday at 2:00. 12th man might be out in full force, but not for the Seattle Seahawks, but for the United States men's national team. And I think that's very exciting across the board what that's kind of done because the entire tournament, if you've been able to lock into it through its whole, you had some exciting games. Brazil and Morocco played at MetLife Stadium, the home of the New York Giants and the New York Jets. And Morocco's coming off a huge run in 2022, making it to the semifinals, the longest an African nation has been in the FIFA World Cup. End up losing the 3rd place game, but Morocco ties with Brazil, an older Brazil team as well. Scotland beat Haiti. Scotland, I don't know how many Red Sox fans there are, or how many people watched that game last night. The Scotland fans have, being here in the United States, they have kind of picked up on the American culture. They went to the Boston Red Sox game at Fenway Park after playing at Gillette Stadium the prior night, and they were a rowdy atmosphere there at Fenway Park. And now Scotland, after a 1-0 win, and then they go to a baseball game, their fans are rowdy. You go to Sunday. Germany, a 4-time World Cup champion, most recently in 2014 when that team was dominant. And I say 7-1 because that was a score they won against Brazil in Brazil's home nation. A very historic match and just jaw-dropping performance in its own right. They took on Curacao. Curacao is the smallest nation ever to compete in the FIFA World Cup. And they went toe-to-toe. They scored a goal. It was 1-1, but Germany just too much, scoring in the 30th minute, 45th minute, 68th minute, 47th, and 78th. They dominated that game. But Curacao did score a goal, does suffer that loss yesterday. Netherlands, Japan met at Jerry's World. Two of the most rowdy soccer supporters there are. Japan, Netherlands, the crowd of orange took over. And that was a thrilling match where a late equalizer scores. Japan ends up holding on to a draw with Netherlands 2-2 in that one. Ivory Coast gets a win. Sweden and Tuzina did fire their manager today. They sacked their manager after 1 day after losing their first World Cup match. And then today, you had 4 matches across the board and some history. And that is because Monday saw all 4 World Cup games finish tied. All 4 of them. There's only been 4 draws in a day once in a FIFA World Cup, and you have to go all the way back to 1958 was the last time every match ended in a draw that day. The reason I mentioned 1958 is because they all drawed that day, just like we saw today here on June 15th, 2026. However, they played 8 matches that day in 1958, and they all drawed. So that's even harder to do because you have 8 matches compared to 4, but it's only 4 draws in a day once in World Cup before 1958, and there were 8 matches on the day. So only the second time that's ever happened since then. So today's matches, we'll start at the bottom and make our way up. In Iran and New Zealand tie 2 apiece. Saudi Arabia tie with Uruguay 1-1. Belgium and Egypt, obviously Belgium, USA met them in 2014. Egypt has Mo Salah, one of the most recognizable players in the world, played for Liverpool for a number of years as well. They knotted at 1 apiece. But the one that caught everybody's eye was Spain and Cape Verde. Cape Verde. A shocking result in this one for the World Cup opener for both these nations. Because this is Cape Verde's debut in the FIFA World Cup. And they pulled a stunning upset in a tie. Yes, that sounds weird. Yes, they pulled an upset in a tie. Well, that's because Cape Verde entered their first World Cup ever, taking on Spain, who is a giant in this sport. And Cape Verde was able to keep the match tied at 0-0. And somehow, some way, Spain couldn't score in the end. And it wasn't even close. Expected goals, Spain 2.1 expected goals. Didn't get any. They had a 74% possession to Cape Verde's 26. Shots. Duels won or even. Shots, I think, is the biggest thing here. Shots on goal. You had 7 shots on goal, 26% for Spain. Only 1 shot on goal the entire match for Cape Verde. And, I mean, so many shots. 27 total shots for Spain in this match. To Cape Verde 6. It was dominant display from Spain. Just could not find the back of the net. As Cape Verde held on for the draw to make some history. Spain came in second-ranked team nation in the entire FIFA World Cup rankings. And Cape Verde, small little country trying to make a name for themselves, taking on a world giant, and were able to stand toe-to-toe with the Spaniards. And that's what's special about the World Cup and why I think it's so special. Because, yes, the tournament grew from 32 to 48. With the 32-team format, I don't think Cape Verde or a Curacao make the tournament, make the round of 32. With it, I think it adds an extra layer like this, what we saw today. And you learn the story of a Portuguese league, second-tier league goalie going head-to-head against some of the best in the world that Spain has to offer in their country. So the Monday slate, everything ends in draws. Tuesday, you have another full slate of games. You got 3 games on deck, all being played in NFL stadiums. You'll start the day at 2 o'clock. You'll get France and Senegal, that one starting at 2 o'clock. You'll get Kylian Mbappe in France going head-to-head against Senegal. That one taking place at MetLife. At 5 o'clock, you get Iraq taking on Norway. Eric Holland and Norway, the Norwegian team, taking on them at the home of the New England Patriots in Gillette Stadium. And then the nightcap is going to be just down the road at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Algeria, one of the best from the African nations, taking on Lionel Messi and Argentina, the defending 2022 World Cup champions, as Lionel Messi potentially playing in his last World Cup will be playing in Arrowhead Stadium just a couple hours down the road in Kansas City, Missouri. That's a slate going on for Tuesday. You obviously have more matches Wednesday, Thursday, and then on Friday, reminder, the Team USA will kick off the day on Friday with the 2 o'clock kick against Australia. That one taking place at Lumen Field. Both teams winning their first matches. United States winning over Paraguay, Australia defeating Turkey. So you get that one right off the bat at Lumen Field at 2 o'clock on Friday. But before then, we have some Diamond action just going on just down the road at the College World Series. We'll recap the day with that. The Royals also played a game today at Nationals Park against the Washington Nationals. We'll talk about that on the other side. Some Diamond action. College World Series, Kansas City Royals, Late Night Lincoln rolls on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey everyone, it's Brie Marie. Join me and James Rowland every Sunday night at 7 p.m. from April through August for the Finish Line. We'll do laps around the headlines in dirt track racing, let the rubber meet the road for NASCAR news, and talk with special guests, including your favorite local drivers and racing personalities. That's the Finish Line, Sunday at 7 p.m. all summer long on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for their 14th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an exclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, they're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Keep summer green with Judson Baleen and Judson Irrigation. More than 40 years ago, Judson Irrigation started taking in orphans. Lawn sprinkler systems installed by a quickie, cheapy summer job, install 'em and forget 'em outfit long forgotten. Call Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
MHC isn't a new company, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can handle your commercial moves as well. MHC Moving has 0 hidden fees. You'll never pay for same-day booking or be charged for stairs, heavy items, or elevator fees. Rates are the same Monday through Saturday, and you will never pay a truck or fuel surcharge. And they offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com. There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy, so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, lease a 2026 Ford F-150 for $198 per month for 36 months. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1008623, 198 for monthlies for 36 months with approved credit, 7,500 miles per year, 14,000 to signing. No security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 7/6/26.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hey everyone, it's Brie Marie. Join me and James Rowland every Sunday night at 7 p.m. from April through August for the finish line. We'll do laps around the headlines and dirt track racing, let the rubber meet the road for NASCAR news, and talk with special guests, including your favorite local drivers and racing personalities. That's the finish line, Sunday at 7 p.m. all summer long on 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to Late Night in Lincoln live on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Nick Whyman.
Welcome back. Nick Whyman holding it down here for a couple of more minutes before you turn the calendar to Tuesday. Before we do, let's talk some Diamond Sports. The College World Series going on just down the road in Omaha and Charles Schwab Field. A lot to get into with that. We'll start with the Kansas City Royals. They played tonight at the beginning of a road trip in Washington, taking on the Nationals. Royals suffer a 7-3 defeat to Washington. Washington ends up with 7 runs, 8 hits, no errors to their name. Royals, same amount of hits, but only 3 runs to their name. 3 runs, 8 hits, and no errors in that one. Royals end up falling behind with a 2-run single in the third. Carter Jensen reaches on an infield single, and Michael Garcia does drive in a run to take the lead 3-2 in the 5th inning as Jack Caglione scored and Bobby Wood Jr. scored on that base knock off the bat of Michael Garcia. But the Nationals reclaimed the lead in the bottom of the 5th with a couple of more runs, and then Dylan Cruz, the former LSU Tiger, who played here in Omaha for the College World Series, hit a home run to drive in 3 runs and put a damp on the Royals' loss. 7-3 defeat. Royals now 29-44 on the season, 12-23 on the road. Nationals now 38-35, on the season, 3 games over 500. So the Kansas City Royals still trying to find their way. And after winning yesterday to close off a homestand, suffer a loss to Washington, but they got 2 more games against the Nationals. Tomorrow's game, 5:45. Michael Wacha going for the Royals in that one. And then they'll get a getaway day Wednesday with Ludner Ivala pitching at a 12:05 Central Time first pitch before the Kansas City Royals return home to Kauffman Stadium for a Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. Yes, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, a rare Saturday off. I-70 series against the St. Louis Cardinals. Royals pitching for that one. Noah Cameron, game 1 on Thursday. Friday, Stephen Kolek, and then to be determined on Sunday, depending all the injuries across their roster. Along with that, you look at the College World Series. We had a couple of really interesting games across the board that happened today. Cap it off, Georgia and Oklahoma. Oklahoma is red hot right now. A team who is not ranked ended up winning a regional and then getting to a super regional against a really good Kansas team, getting past them, hit the heck out of the ball, scoring more runs across the board, and end up winning tonight 4-3 over the Georgia Bulldogs. Oklahoma 4 runs, 8 hits, no errors. Georgia 3 runs, 8 hits, and an error to send Georgia into elimination game. Oklahoma now 2-0 on the season. Earlier today, Texas avoiding elimination with a 14-2 win over the Alabama Crimson Tide. Texas 14 runs, 13 hits, and 1 error. Alabama had 2 runs, 6 hits, and an error. In that one, 7 RBIs today for Texas's Adrian Rodriguez. That ties a College World Series record for the most in one game, most recently done by Mississippi State's Jordan Westberg in 2018. Jordan Westberg obviously now making a career out of playing baseball. So tomorrow's slate for the College World Series will be up there from 11 to 6, as we always are for the Blur Events tailgate, 11 to 6 p.m. down there at the Hilton in Omaha. 1 o'clock, you'll get West Virginia taking on Troy, a rematch. Both these games are rematches, but they're both elimination games with your season on the line now. You've got West Virginia and Troy starting at 1 o'clock tomorrow between West Virginia and Troy. And then the nightcap, a rematch of 2 top 10 teams with their seasons on the line. You'll have the number 3 seed Georgia Bulldogs taking on the 6th seed, the Texas Longhorns, with their season on the line, with teams waiting in the wings on Wednesday, North Carolina waiting on that side, and then also Oklahoma, who is now waiting on the other side as well. So with that, remember, 11 o'clock to 6, we'll be up there at the Blur event tailgates up in Omaha as the elimination side of the bracket takes center stage tomorrow before we crown the Final Four in the College World Series. That's all we have. Early break starting at 6 a.m. We'll be back again here tonight, 11 o'clock to midnight on Late Night Lincoln, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Have a good night, everybody.